The rain fell on Manhattan in relentless sheets. On the 68th floor of the Ethelred Tower, the sound was a distant whisper. Inside, the world was one of polished concrete and cold steel. This was the domain of Alistair Finch, a man for whom the world was an equation to be solved. He controlled a hedge fund so vast it could trigger recessions with a few trades. He was a predator in a bespoke suit. A soft sound of a vacuum cleaner hummed in a distant room. Alistair frowned. It was Tuesday. The cleaner was early. Her name was Maria. He knew nothing else, nor did he care. She was a function, a line item. He turned from the panoramic window, his mind wrestling with a devilishly complex arbitrage problem. The numbers danced just out of reach of an elegant solution. Frustrated, he went to pour another drink and saw her. Maria was in his study, standing perfectly still, staring at his blackboard. The blackboard was covered in a chaotic jumble of advanced calculus and financial notations, a secret language of money, and the cleaner was staring at it. A slow, cold smile spread across Alistair's face. Here was a distraction. The uneducated cleaner trying to decipher his work. It was laughable. It was pathetic. "See anything you like?" he asked, his voice dripping with condescension. Maria turned slowly. There was no embarrassment on her face. "It is a fascinating structure," she said simply. Alistair laughed. "A structure? I doubt you could even begin to comprehend the variables." She looked back at the board. "The correlation coefficient you assign seems high. It assumes a rational actor. History suggests a more emotional response, which would decouple the relationship." The silence was absolute. Alistair stared. The words were precise, informed, and worst of all, correct. He had been wrestling with that very assumption. "What did you say?" he whispered, the condescension gone, replaced by shock. "Your model may be over-optimized," she repeated, her gaze steady. "You are looking for mathematical symmetry where there is only human chaos." "Who are you?" he demanded. "I am Maria, the cleaner. How do you know this? I was not always a cleaner, Mr. Finch." The simplicity of the statement hung in the air. Alistair's mind reeled. He needed to regain control. He walked to the board, erased a section, and concocted a new problem on the spot, something even more complex, a theoretical portfolio optimization designed to be impossible. He finished with a flourish. "There," he said, a cruel glint in his eye. He would put this upstart in her place. His eyes landed on the keys to his 1965 Aston Martin DB5, worth over $1 million. It was his favorite toy. A reckless idea seized him. He pointed at the keys. "You see that car? If you can solve that problem right here, right now, I will give it to you. You can drive it out of here tonight." He let the offer hang, a gaudy, impossible promise. He was certain. Her earlier comment was a fluke. Maria looked from his face to the problem, to the keys. Her expression didn't change. She walked to the board, picked up a fresh piece of chalk, and without hesitation began to write. Alistair watched, his smug smile dissolving. Her hand moved with unerring confidence. She didn't pause. She flowed through the problem, using elegant shortcuts that made his own scrawl look clumsy. In 5 minutes, it was done. The solution was complete, elegant, and irrefutably correct. The world tilted. Alistair felt the breath leave his body. He looked at the board, at Maria, at the keys. A promise was a promise. His word was his bond. He walked, as if in a dream, to the keys. He held them out. It would seem The car is yours." Maria took the keys. She didn't cradle them like treasure. She simply accepted them. "Thank you, Mr. Finch." She placed them in her cleaning caddy, next to the bottles of cleaner. The incongruity was staggering. "Who are you?" Alistair asked again, a plea. She looked at him, a deep sadness in her eyes. "My name is Dr. Maria Volkov. I was the head of theoretical mathematics at the University of St. Petersburg before the war, before the complications." Alistair knew the name. A legend, a prodigy who had vanished. "You're supposed to be dead." "As you can see, I am not. I am cleaning your apartment. It is honest work." She told him a story of a jealous colleague, falsified accusations, a lost passport, and a desperate escape. She had built a new life from the ashes, finding peace in the simple, tangible results of physical labor. Alistair felt a deep, corrosive shame. He had built a fortune on the shoulders of giants like her, and had treated one with contempt. "Let me give you a job," he said, desperate. "A real job. At my fund. You can have your life back." Maria paused at the door. "Thank you, Mr. Finch, but I do not want my old life back, and I do not wish to spend my days helping you make more money. It seems an empty pursuit." "Then what will you do?" She patted the caddy. "I will go for a drive. It should be an interesting experience." She gave him a final nod. "Good evening, Mr. Finch." Dr. Maria Volkov walked out, leaving Alistair Finch standing alone in his suddenly empty kingdom. He had lost a car, but gained a terrifying glimpse of his own ignorance. The days that followed were a blur. The ghost of Maria haunted him. He tried to find her, but she had vanished. His work suffered. The thrill was gone, replaced by a profound humility. A month later, a plain envelope arrived. Inside was a hand-drawn map of the night sky. At the bottom, in a familiar script, was a line: "For a man who owns the world, remember that you can also look up. The most valuable assets are not the ones you can trade." No signature was needed. Alistair had the map framed. It became his most prized possession. He became a different man, funding scholarships for displaced scholars. He never saw Maria again. But sometimes, late at night, he would imagine he heard the distant growl of an Aston Martin, a ghost of a sound, a reminder that genius wears many disguises and that the most important calculations are never about money, but about humanity. The story of Alistair and Maria is a profound parable for our stratified world. It challenges the very foundation of how we measure human worth, revealing that we often confuse economic value with intrinsic value. Alistair, the master of financial algorithms, lived in a prison of his own assumptions, seeing people as functions and data points. His generous wager was, in truth, an act of profound arrogance, a performance designed to reinforce his superiority. Maria's victory was not merely mathematical, it was a dismantling of an entire worldview. Her calm refusal of his job offer was the story's true climax. She demonstrated that some intellects seek purpose, not profit, and that peace can be found outside the systems of power and prestige. The greatest twist was not that the cleaner was a genius, but that the millionaire was the one who received the ultimate education. He learned that the most critical calculations are not of risk and return, but of humility and empathy. The final map of the stars was her ultimate lesson. The most valuable assets are not owned, They are observed, appreciated, and understood. True wealth lies not in what you possess, but in your capacity to see the hidden constellations of potential in every human being.